Okay, guys, last one on plagiarism because my voice is getting very sore on this very hot day. Just to give you some examples of the things that I've encountered. I'm just one person out of a host of teachers in a number of different faculties. And we're finding that plagiarism cases are going up and up. Let us give you some idea of the type of things that I've come across. One, a master's thesis. A student disappeared to the other side of the world to write his master's thesis, having agreed the title and aims and objectives with his tutor. The tutor desperately tried to get in touch throughout the year with the student. The student never replied a single time. Nothing the tutor could do. But the day before the deadline, a huge parcel arrived with 2 very thick volumes of a master's thesis. When the tutor got the master's thesis out of the packet, he looked at it and he thought, oh, that's strange, the title's changed and the aims and objectives have changed a bit as well. And then he thought to himself, you know, I've seen this before. In fact, I was the tutor for this very master's thesis about 6 or 7 years ago at another university. So he rang the other university, got hold of a copy of the original, and he was completely and utterly correct. So the student had simply bought a copy of a 5-year-old master's thesis, and the student was unfortunate enough to come across the original tutor who had supervised the student writing that master's thesis. So the student concerned never got his M2, didn't get his master's, and was thrown out of the university and put on a university's blacklist. Well, that didn't work too well. Oh, and lost the $500 he paid for his master's thesis copy. Another one for you. A student who said that she couldn't actually get started despite advice from her tutor on her rapport de stage. So she asked a colleague at work who had also been a student on the same course some year before, could she have a look just for inspiration at her colleague's rapport de stage from a couple of years before. What then happened was that she managed to take an awful lot of the content and the framework and structure of the original master's thesis and then try to pretend that she had written an original piece of work. Result, a very long and nasty plagiarism hearing. She admitted having cheated and having plagiarized and tried to excuse herself unsuccessfully. The result was she failed her placement year, therefore failed her M2, and therefore failed her master's and was not invited to come back and resit. So there's 2 very big ones. There have been others. Students who have used Oriet in the exam room underneath long hair or whatever, a disguise. Other students realised it, and we certainly realised it when we saw the work. There were 2 pieces of work, one which was a montage, patchwork, if you like, of 23 different online sources, verbatim, word for word, one after another, with not a single original word anywhere. And the other one, who was using the same idea of Oriet, then managed to copy one online source from start to finish. Both of those students found themselves at a disciplinary hearing. One of them was honest enough to admit it. The other one wasn't. But the result effectively was the same, that neither of them progressed as a result of that. So that was a waste of 3 years of a 3 years of a degree program. Other things, a student who took a lettre de motivation, covering letter, from a LinkedIn profile of a very senior business manager in his 50s, and was stupid enough not to change the person's date of birth, address, or anything else in it, and presented it as all his own work. I mean, I saw it within 2 seconds flat, no problem at all with that. I found the original, and when I challenged the student said, I didn't plagiarize it. So I said, well, you must have, because this is 100% that document that I found online. He said, no, I didn't want to do your assignment, so I got somebody else to do it for me. And he thought that made it better. It made it 10 times worse. I have had students who've gone online and found material, even at level of M1 and M2, who've gone online and found material, and they have paraphrased it and not quoted it at all, and used it without any attribution of the original source. And when challenged, they both said, I was inspired by the work I found online. To which my answer was, poets are sometimes inspired by Paris, but they don't copy other poets who've been to Paris. It makes you feel something. You have a different view of the world because of what somebody else has done. And then you write something from your creativity, where the impulse perhaps came from something else, but you don't copy it. So, I mean, I could go on and on and on about the number of cases that we've had. I would say that I'm seeing now 5 times as many cases a year as I was seeing just 2 years ago. So we are getting more tired, more fed up, more annoyed, and we're becoming more draconian, which is one reason why I'm telling you about this, because now there are no excuses that you can use. I didn't know about it. Yes, you did. I forgot. There are plagiarism checkers like Grammarly, which is free. You can use Grammarly to check the grammar of your assignments in French or in English, and it also has a plagiarism checker built in. So if you're genuinely trying to check that you haven't plagiarized, you might just have missed something and forgotten to put the source in, use it. There is now just no excuse at all. So plagiarism hearings are becoming very short. This is what we've got. What do you say? That's not an excuse. Thank you. Good night and goodbye. So please, 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 the message is, don't even think of trying to rush things. I've even had, for example, in one class of 25 students, 5 students who went and copied a minister's address that was on the .gouv.fr website. One tried to hide it by translating it into English. One tried to hide it by changing the order of the articles. And the other 3 just reproduced the article. And here's the great thing. They were friends. So in class, they sat together. So when I went and picked the information up, picked their assignments up, it was one after another, after another, after another, after another. It's so easy to find. We have plagiarism checking tools that we can use. Google Scholar, a simple Google search engine. Grammarly, Compilatio. If we think there's something here that just doesn't work, the English is too good, the idea doesn't fit with what you're doing, it just seems completely incongruous, we're going to put a phrase into one of those engines and we are going to find it. So quite simply, save yourself the bother right from the beginning. Learn how to cite, attribute, put a proper bibliography together, and use things like the Grammarly plagiarism check just to double check that you haven't missed anything, because now you know there is no excuse. Okay, forewarned is forearmed.